So you are married, congratulations on your marriage, and now you are wanting to know, how do I change my name? And there's so many questions that come from this after a couple gets married. There's so many questions that come from this topic, is what I want to say. Is just that when a couple gets married, especially a couple who is going through the immigration process, the process is unique, and there's some additional questions that couples tend to ask. First, how do I change my name? When do I change my name? Can I change my middle name? Do I have to change my name? And so I really want to go over all of those common questions as it relates to name changes after you get married. And then, of course, for those of you who are watching the Facebook Live right now, watching it live, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I will go over those at the end of our Facebook Live. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't joined our Facebook community, Immigration for Couples, the link will be below. And we also have a lot of resources, free resources on our website about your immigration journey. So check that out as well. All right, so back to the topic at hand, name change after marriage and all of those questions that I said a lot of couples have. So first, I think it'll be the most clear to start with the process of how do you change your name? And I think it will also be helpful to understand how you change your name if you're a United States citizen or a lawful permanent resident living in the United States, or if you are the immigrant that's going through the process with your spouse. So in general, if you are a United States citizen, and once you get married, you'll receive a marriage certificate. And when you receive that marriage certificate, you would go to the Social Security office and change your last name. You aren't required to change your last name when you get married. It's a choice. Some individuals decide to change their last name. Some individuals decide to hyphenate their last name. And name changes can occur for either men or women. It's not, it's the 21st century, so either party can change their name or not change their name. But the point is that the process would be to take that certified marriage license, go to the Social Security office, update your Social Security records, and then you can begin the process of updating your name on everything else in your life, which is a cumbersome process. Going to the bank, changing the name on your credit cards, your driver's license, etc. So that's if you are a United States citizen. And then if you're an immigrant who's going through an immigration process with your spouse or fiance, once you're married, the way that you would change your name is by providing it on your immigration application. And you can do this because in the United States, the marriage license, the certified marriage license, is what allows you to change your last name. And so if you're doing a spouse visa case, an adjustment of status case, you would put your new married last name, if you have decided to change it, as your last name on the application. Other names used, you'll want to make sure you list your former maiden name as an other name used. Now, for fiancé visas, for K-1 applicants, I'd like to point out that on your first application for the fiancé visa, you're not married yet, so you wouldn't be able to put your new last name. But once you come to the United States and you get married and you file for your green card, then on that application, if you decide to change your name, you can put that new married name as your last name and then list your maiden name as an other name used. And so that's basically the process. The other unique thing for immigrants, different from if you're a United States citizen, is by putting your name on the immigration application as your new last name, your married name, then immigration will send you your work permit and your green card with that new last name. So then you're all set, and then you'll also receive your Social Security card in the mail with your new married last name, and then you're, like I said, you're all set. That's how you change your name. And so we see a lot of individuals who have done their own application and weren't aware of that. And so they didn't change their name. They didn't put their new last name on the forms. And so if you don't, then you'll receive the green card in the mail, and your documents, your legal documents then as proof of your lawful status in the United States will not have your married name. You would, if you happen to have done that, or if you aren't sure if you want to change your name, you can still change your name outside of the immigration process. It's just more complicated and more expensive because you have to pay additional fees and go through a legal name change process. So if you didn't change your name, like I said, or if you're not sure and you might want to change it later, there is a way to go through a formal legal name change process. You'd have to do that. And then you'd also have to update your immigration records and get a new green card. So there would be additional government fees for that as well. So if you haven't done it, there's still an option. And I know I've already mentioned this, but I wanted to highlight this again. Do you have to change your name? A lot of couples say, if I don't change my name, will immigration think that that is weird? Will they look negatively upon that? Will they frown upon that? And really the answer is what I said earlier. No, there's no requirement that you change your name. Sometimes we've had immigration officers during the interview ask, why are you going to change your name? Or sometimes they might ask why you didn't, but there's no obligation that you do so. And we always try to encourage couples. We tell couples to, be you and do you. And if you weren't planning on changing your last name, then that's fine. You'll just have plenty of other relationship evidence to show your relationship is real. There's no requirement to change your last name. The other question we receive a lot is, can I change my middle name? And I know that a lot of couples are asking because when you're changing your last name, and I get this too, when I got married, you've had your last name for a long time and it's part of your identity, and it makes sense that you're really excited to join your life, but you don't want to give up your other last name. So some couples ask, I don't want to highlight it. I don't want to have two last names. Can I move my last name to my middle name to be able to, to have both? So you can't change your first or your middle name on the immigration applications. The only name you could change based on the certified marriage license would be your last name. The first name and the middle name would require a formal legal name change that would occur after the immigration process, and then you'd have to update your immigration records. So no, you cannot change your first and your middle name, but there is an option in the future when you naturalize. So when you become a United States citizen, individuals who receive their green card based on marriage would actually be able to naturalize after 3 years of being a lawful permanent resident based on their marriage to a United States citizen. So at that 3-year mark, when you're applying for naturalization, there's a part of that process that allows you to be able to change your name as part of the immigration process without a separate legal name change process, separate expenses on that front. So at that time, if you wanted to go ahead and change your middle name and add your maiden name back in, or maybe take your spouse's middle name, your spouse's last name as your middle name, you can make those changes in the naturalization process. That's usually what we recommend to couples. That's usually the easier way to change other parts of your name in the immigration context, if that's something that you're wanting to do. But those are really the common questions that we receive about name changes. I hope that provided you with some clarity about how it works, what parts of your name you can change, and whether or not you have to change your name at all. So I hope that helped. And now I see that we have a few people watching. If you have questions, go ahead and feel free to put them into the comments. If not, I will sign off, and I will see you all next week.